Former flat earthers. What made you come round? Quote I got from somewhere. For 5 years I believed the earth was flat, then I turned 6. Explain like I'm 5 years old. You'll understand when you're older. Just realize that response applies to almost all explain like I'm 5s. I was debating a flat earther in Mexico, and I asked him about how GPS worked if there were no satellites. He said that they had devices in the ground to route you. I told him the Mexican government is barely able to put decent water pipes in the ground. Would he really think they had the tech to put routing devices in the ground? He chuckled with a 1,000-mile gaze. I mean, with all the money go to routing devices in the ground, no wonder there is no money left. Shit, he's got a point. Lol, thankfully they can't put together any sort of real debate to save their lives. This is a funny sort of trump card that doesn't really make sense, but in the moment I'd maybe be taken aback and have to concede I don't believe it, but if that's what they believe I can't honestly dispute it. This is why arguing in good faith sucks, haha. Mexican here, can confirm. Had to travel to Japan, gave up on my beliefs in order to make a shorter trip. Please elaborate. It's a quicker journey depending which direction you travel from. Please elaborate. You can either fly nearly 11,000 miles over the Atlantic, Europe and Asia. Or you can fly 6,000 miles over the Pacific. Please elaborate. Why fly many miles, when few do trick? I said the same thing on another post. However, someone more familiar with the conspiracy said they believe the Earth is actually a circle with the North Pole in the middle with the South Pole, or Antarctica encircling us. For me, it just brought up more questions. They think the Earth is a big pizza with a crust made of icy mountains. The North Pole is the center where all the slices meet. The pizza is on a rotating plate with a small heat lamp that can only cover about half the pizza. Sorry, I'm kind of hungry. A serious answer here. The thing that made me stop was just the question, why would NASA lie to you? I will try replying to all of you all, but we'll go to a study hall so I'll reply later. This a solid point, there's no way 70,000 scientists could keep it a secret. Edit, since this is getting tons of replies and a lot are addressing the Manhattan Project, I'll address it here. Yes, they did a great job at keeping it a secret while it was happening, but it inevitably came out. My point is addressing that this secret would be impossible to continue to stay secret, especially during the current information age. That's the biggest reason for me to not believe so many conspiracy theories, especially major ones like a flat Earth. We know how often things leak about everything, and suddenly a collection of tens of thousands of people are all gonna keep this one big secret? Flat Earth is absolutely shit tier. It not only fails on the level you described, but also, why? Why pretend the shape of the Earth is different than it is? When does someone convene a high-level meeting to circulate that idea? Why pretend the shape of the Earth is different than it is? Because the people that believe it get quickly funneled into dark propaganda. I never thought of this. It really is like a litmus test for gullible folks. If I was starting a cult, I'd start recruitment with flat earthers. Kyrie Irving hasn't been doing press conferences. Man's just disappeared from the court like he fell off the disc. He be wishing the Earth was round now. Nah man. He wants to hide in the corners. If the Earth is round, he'll eventually be found. I convinced a flat earther, temporarily, by asking him if it was possible for a sphere to be so large that you could not tell it was a sphere by simply being on the surface of it. It took him a while. I used an analogy of an extremely long line that was so slightly curved you could not tell so by looking at a small section of it. Eventually he said yes to the sphere and I told him that was how big the Earth is. A few days later he reverted. Most of these people aren't mentally stable, they believe in a lot of conspiracies. Edit, corny edit, but as connoisseur of flat Earth content, my personal favorite is Professor Dave on YouTube. He is an underappreciated dude who just had a science channel on YouTube and got brigaded by flat earthers for an unrelated video. He made like 6 video responses in total just owning these guys, but they eventually gave up. Check it out. What I like to do is use telescopes. This telescope is strong enough to see distant stars and galaxies, yes? Okay, look out this direction across the ocean. Can you see Europe? Edit, RIP my inbox lol. Stars are not as far as NASA tell us. They are much closer than Europe, on the edge of the dome. Actually, no matter what you say, they'll find a nonsense explanation, until finally get to because God made it this way. Which is the main reason why they believe in flat Earth anyways. Look, it's really easy. If the Earth is flat, there would be an edges. And there would be a fucking Disney park at the edge, and we could bungee jump off the side and paraglide into the void, etc., etc. Someone would be making an absolute shit ton of money off of it, if it existed. Guess what? Nobody is doing that, Add in this world where absolutely everything is exploited for profit, if no one is making money off of it, it does not exist. No edge. Not flat. Get a clue? If no on ice making money off of it, it does not exist. I am definitely gonna steal that one. No more stupid debates, this is the answer. Hell, people make money off plenty of things that don't exist too. Edit, if you're going to reply, please come up with something less obvious than the church. Not me, but got a flat earther to question his beliefs, and hopefully critically analyze them, by giving him the proof he asked for, to which he responded mainstream science and media are lies. I asked why he asked for proof if he could just disregard it as lies either way, then told him that since he required no proof, or evidence against, to believe something, it made him the easiest person to deceive and that it seemed pretty sheep-like to me. He deleted all of his flat earth comments and hasn't posted about it since. He probably didn't change his opinion, but he did become ashamed of it, which is a good start. I don't agree, shame will make him want to forget everything about it including the lessons he could have learned from it. Whether he wants to or not, shame makes you remember forever so you don't repeat whatever brought you shame the first time. I was tired of living life on the edge. I watched a documentary about flat earthers called Truth Behind the Curve and my analysis from watching that these flat earthers are a group of people who found a community to be a part of. It's a shame their community is based on a lie, but I saw a bunch of people who were to be part of a community. Most of the people were social awkward and whatnot, and so an opportunity to be an influential figure within the community so they double down on their flawed logic. The more against you are of them, the harder they rep their flatness. TLDR, I see flat earthers as a group of lonely people looking for a community that will accept them. They actually did an experiment, and that if they got one result, the earth was flat, if they got the other, it was round. Experiment showed that the earth is, drum roll, round. They claimed it was human error that caused the wrong result. They also spent $20,000 on a very precise gyroscope. Of course it showed a 15-degree-per-hour drift, thus proving the spherical earth. They didn't accept this result and blamed it on picking up the rotation of the heavens. So they did another experiment with the gyroscope in a zero-Gauss chamber so that the sky wouldn't affect it. Same result. And they still claim something else must have been wrong. There is nothing that will convince these people. At least these deeper entrenched bigger name people are too far in, and can't ever leave their group that they are so tied to. I also believe a lot of the higher up people absolutely do not believe the earth is flat and are just grifting people for the money. I tried to convince others that the earth is a circle but they wouldn't listen. It's pointless. They just keep on going on circles. There are flat earthers all over the globe. There are flat earthers all over around the globe. I spent about a year infiltrating the flat earth community on Instagram. I garnered a decent following with an account dedicated to flat earth travel photos, an intentionally absurd premise. In that time I learned quite a bit about the community including how to discern the trolls from the real deal. The majority of legit flat earthers are extremely distrustful of anything the government says or does. These same people are 9/11 truthers, Holocaust deniers, and anti-vaxxers and they connect these conspiracies together. Many of them have also attached flat earth theory to religion, magic, or mysticism. Before my infiltration I'd always considered conspiracies fun. Like they were the fan fiction of real life. Now they mostly make me sad. For all the phony accounts like mine, there are still plenty of people out there willing to drop a couple of $100s on a flat earth convention. I talked to a flat earther about my job working for a company that tracks ship locations, routes, and speeds by satellite. We also had ways of monitoring carbon emissions based on fuel consumption and known weather conditions. None of this would work at all if the earth was flat. Not a jot of it. I could only explain the most basic concepts, but it was enough for him to understand and realize that I was right and that he'd been convinced by someone who had no practical experience of the spherical nature of the earth. I think that's what really did it, my experience was really tangible. This happens then we measure this etc. etc. No theory, just practice. A bit like showing a child a rock dropping to the ground in order to explain gravity, rather than giving them the whole theoretical shebang. You know. It took about 5 years. It was a lot of willful ignorance on my part, I just refused to question the logic of it. In fact I spent most of my time coming up with crazy fantasies about a lot of things I didn't understand. But you have to understand that there is just so much we don't know about that sometimes our priority on what is real and what can be believed can get confused. I was learning so much so fast that I really didn't question something so inane as the world being flat. Of course it was, why wouldn't it be? The day that changed it forever though was when I asked my father what happens when you get to the edge of the world. He of course said the world is round like a ball. Being about 5 years old I thought that made a lot of sense. If you want to see more content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for daily uploads. After you've done that, check out one of our other videos.